So in this lesson, we're going to learn about writing and naming formulas for ionic compounds. So ionic bonds are when a metal is bonded to a non-metal. Notice the metal is always written first. So for example, sodium and chlorine, the metal there is sodium, so it's written first. Magnesium and fluorine, same thing, metal is magnesium. So always write that first. So let's talk about how we write formulas for ionic compounds. So we're going to write a formula for a compound formed when a metal sodium and a non-metal sulfur form a compound. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to write the symbols of the elements, the metal first and the non-metal second. So we have sodium as Na, sulfur as S. Next thing you need to do is write the charges from the column that we talked about yesterday as a superscript for each element. So Na plus 1, S minus 2. Sodium is plus 1 since it's in the first column, sulfur is minus 2 since it's in the column 16, which is 2 away from the noble gases. You're going to crisscross the numbers from the charges, not the charge itself, and you're going to essentially end up with the formula that looks like this. So we have Na2S. You want to make sure the formula is written down in the lowest whole number ratio. So for example, if we have magnesium and oxygen down here, if you crisscross these, you would get Mg2O2, but we want the lowest ratio, so it would be reduced to MgO. So to practice, we're going to write some formulas for the compounds that are formed when the following elements bond to form compounds. So in order to do this, we're going to go ahead and give these a try. So if we have sodium and nitrogen, we'd write down, again, first step, the letters for each. So Na, and this is plus 1. Nitrogen is N minus 3. You want to crisscross these charges, so the 3 will come over here, and then the 1 will go here. So we would have Na 3N. Okay. Other examples, we'd have Mg. Mg has a charge of plus 2. Phosphorus has a charge of minus 3. So after you crisscross those charges, you're going to get Mg3P2. Hydrogen and sulfur. Hydrogen has a charge of plus 1. Sulfur has a charge of negative 2. So crisscross those charges, H2S. Potassium and oxygen. Potassium has a charge of plus 1. Oxygen has a charge of minus 2, so we'd have K2O. Aluminum has a charge of plus 3. Bromine has a charge of minus 1. So crisscross those charges, we have Al for aluminum, B3. Aluminum and selenium would be Al has a charge of plus 3. Selenium has a charge of minus 2, so you'd have Al2S3. Cesium and nitrogen, Cs plus 1. Nitrogen minus 3, so it'd be Cs3N. There's just a bunch more examples here, so just go ahead and give these a try. You can check these answers with me, and they will also be posted eventually under the notes. You also need to be able to name ionic compounds when the formula is given, so this is just going backwards. So first you need to notice if it's an ionic compound, so in order to do that you need to see a metal and a non-metal. You want to name the metal by its actual name from the periodic table, and then for the non-metal you're going to add I. So salt, NaCl, is a good example. So the metal, we want to keep the name of the metal, which is sodium. And then the non-metal, we keep the first syllable of the name, remove the rest, and add "ide" at the end. So chlorine now becomes chloride. So put that together, you have sodium chloride. This is the final name. So notice the subscripts do not affect the name, that just comes from crisscrossing. So magnesium bromide, aluminum sulfide, you don't write like 2 aluminum, 3 sulfide or anything, it's just aluminum sulfide, and so forth. This will be different for covalent compounds when we get to them, but right now just remember, ignore the subscripts, just name them that way. So, we're going to take the elements from task 1.4 and write the formulas along with the name of the compound formed when the 2 elements form an ionic compound. So, for example, sodium and nitrogen, just doing one together, it would be Na plus 1, N minus 3. So if you remember, it was Na3, 3N. So the name would be sodium, just written out just like this over here. So we got sodium, and then we would get rid of this part here, this ogen, and add ide at the end. So IDE. So sodium nitrate is what that would look like. You practice those other ones. And the only other thing you missed in class is we were going to do some practice problems together, and we were going to do them up on the whiteboard. These were the types of practice problems that you'll see that we were working on together. And then the homework for tonight would just be to do lesson 9 in the problem packet, 1 to 10 and 16 to 25, just to give yourself some extra practice.